Well, welcome to another morning of Bible study as we continue on through our study on unity. And what we are using as our foundation for this study through unity is the book of Ephesians. And today's Bible study text is it's simple. Now, tomorrow's is going to be simpler because it's only one verse, but today is two verses. But what a two verses they are. Today's verses are some of the perhaps strongest, clearest, and most well-loved statements on salvation and what it is in Scripture. But that doesn't mean that it's always simplistic in order to understand, even though it may be simple. Now, a couple of things before we get into it. Today's Bible study is brought to you by ChristTable.today. Would love for you to run over at some point to ChristTable.today and check us out. You're going to find that we are a ministry that is dedicated to unique situations of faith. And we live that out in unique ways as well. Would love to have you learn more about it. And even more than that, would love to have you become a part of it by signing up for our email list or even considering being a donor. And for those who donate to Christ Table, we send out resource boxes regularly that have an incredible amount of spiritual resources, practical things to help you develop your faith and make it central in your life and home. Now, if you want to be a part of this Bible study, even if you're not a part of Christ Table, you are still welcome to be a part of this Bible study. And if you would like the full reading plan, you can head over to go.christtable.today/unity, and that's going to send you to a link to a PDF that will outlay all of the readings in the book of Ephesians as we walk through them 4 days a week over the next few weeks. And one other thing that I want to invite you to be a part of, especially if Christ Table is your home, but if not, you can still be a part of this. I'd love to encourage you to join us to be a part of reading together this incredible little book called From Tablet to Table. You can download it on your e-reader, or if you donate to Christ Table, we send one of these in the mail to you. The reason I tell you this is because we do a group book study discussion on this every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Would love to have you be a part of that. The link to get into it is right there. And so download that book, get a copy of From Tablet to Table, and join us on this journey. And we'd love to have you be a part. Well, why don't we dig in? My youngest son, Matthew, his birthday is this Friday, just a few days away. And he will be turning 6. And the humorous thing is that he has been waiting for this birthday, I think, since before his 5th birthday. I don't know what it is about the number 6 for him, but he has been talking about this birthday for more than a year. And there is nobody in the house who is more excited for this to be over than maybe mom and dad, but he has planned this out from top to bottom. He has written out each and every one of the gifts that he wants for his birthday, and he is looking forward to it. And as any kid does, who can blame them, gifts are perhaps the central thing that is driving the excitement behind birthdays, the opportunity to receive gifts. So as we come today to our two verses, Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 and 9, I want you to keep that idea in mind as we talk about salvation. So Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8. God saved you by his grace when you believed. And you can't take credit for this. It's a gift from God. A gift. A wonderful gift from God. God's salvation. Something that we can't take credit for. Matthew can't take credit for his birthday gifts because it is something that is freely given to him by mom and dad, by his brother, and by his sisters, and anybody else who celebrates his birthday alongside of him. It is something that is given to him and is free to him and is his from there on out. Now, the interesting thing, though, about this gift from God, salvation, that we cannot take credit for, is that it says that it comes to us by his grace when you believed. Or when I memorized this verse, that it says that God saved you by his grace through faith. Now, faith is an acceptable translation of that word. God saved you by his grace through faith, or also belief. God saved you by his grace when you believed, as my translation here, the New Living Translation says. Faith, belief. We often use those words interchangeably. The difficulty is that belief is only one facet of the word faith. The word faith is an extremely complex word that oftentimes what we assume when the word faith is used is we assume mental assent. We assume that faith is something that we in our minds agree to. And so whenever it says that God saved you by his grace through faith, we assume that God saved us because we believed, because we gave mental assent to it. Now, the first thing is that that's not necessarily the full look and picture of this idea of faith. It's like receiving a gift that has many different parts to it, but you only focus on one part. Like you receive a phone as a gift for Christmas or for a birthday. And if you only use that phone for making phone calls, you have not accessed the fullness of that phone. You don't know that you can use it for texting. You can use it for the internet. You can use it as a calculator. You can use it as an opportunity to download games. You can use it to talk to other people through social media. It's a lot more complex and full than that. And that's what this idea of the word faith has as well. As faith is not simply just mentally believing or mentally agreeing. Faith is also something that is practical and that is practiced. It's holistic. It's not just the mind, but it's also the body. It's not just the body, but it's also the heart. It's not just the heart, but it's also the soul. It is something that implies that we are all in. Now, oftentimes, salvation is taught as being all in through faith, and that all inness, that faith from us, is what actually brings salvation. That's not true. It is not your faith which has saved you. Read that verse again. God saved you, what? By his grace through your faith, or when you believed. And so really the gift was given to you not because of your faith, but the gift was given to you because of God. Just like the gifts that Matthew are going to receive in a few days are given to him not because he had faith he was going to receive gifts, not because he believed he was going to receive gifts, but it was given to him because of our love, because of our grace, because we wanted to. And so God saves you not because of your faith, not because of your belief, but God saves you simply because of his grace. So what role does faith have to do with it? Well, faith is simply your and I's acceptance of it. Faith is simply your and I's belief that it actually exists. God has given grace that has saved you, but now the second step to that is your faith, your belief, your ability to actually receive that gift. God's already holding it out there to you because of his grace. But the faith part isn't the part that gave it to you. The faith part is the part that enables you to receive it. Your faith does not save you. God's grace saves you. Verse 9. So salvation is not a reward for the good things that we have done, so no one can boast about it. Matthew can't boast, can't proclaim that he received all of these gifts because he's been a good kid, and he has been a good kid, but no matter what kind of kid he's been, mom and dad are going to give him gifts on his birthday. Why? Not because of all of the good things that he's done, not because we're keeping a checklist, trying to see, which is better, the pros or the cons or the good or the bad in his life. Those gifts aren't a reward, just as salvation is not a reward. Salvation is a free gift by God's grace, not because you lived in a certain way or believed in a certain way or the good things that you've done. So you can't boast about it. There should be no pride involved in the receiving of gifts. You didn't earn it. You didn't deserve it. Now, the downside of that is that oftentimes, unfortunately, over the years, the church has actually taught that works, that the things that you do don't matter, that you can essentially receive God's salvation, this free gift, and then live quite literally however the hell you want to live. And that doesn't match up with Scripture. Works are important. In fact, the book of James says that a faith without works isn't faith. It's dead. And so those things go hand in hand. So good works, compassion, being a good person, following the Beatitudes, striving to model a life of the Ten Commandments, living out the Lord's Prayer, following the love one another commands, be kind to one another, living out those fruits of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, kindness, goodness, faith. Being that kind of person isn't just important, but it's critical. It's necessary. But your salvation isn't a reward for those things. That's a bridge too far. But works are uber important. They don't bring your salvation. They don't bring my salvation. But we should be people who are, with every moment of every day, modeling a life of what it means to have received God's grace, which means we, in turn, give God's grace. Rather than being selfish, we are selfless. Rather than people who are only caring and doing for ourselves, we become people who are caring and doing for others, who are willing to sacrifice as Jesus modeled, who are willing to suffer as Jesus modeled, who are willing to go the extra mile for others, not because it helps us earn the free gift of salvation, but because we have been given the free gift of salvation. Well, it's been good to be with you today. I'm actually looking forward to being with you tomorrow as we dive into chapter 2, verse 10, a single verse for our Bible study. Now, don't let it all go to your head. It'll be easy, but I'm telling you, that verse is powerful. That verse is deep, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you tomorrow. In the meantime, though, at some point, head over to christtable.today. Check us out. If you've not already done so, subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook so that you'll get the updates about everything that's going on. And there are links to both of those things at the website, christtable.today. But until tomorrow,